Many students often wonder why some cars answers just seem like absolute garbage. But here at MCAT Savior, we'll let you in on a little secret. They're all garbage. And here's the reason why. Previously, when you've taken a standardized test for reading comprehension, let's say SAT, ACT, or something along those lines, those questions are first order. And that basically just means, in like fancy test taking speak, there's a very clear distinction between the correct answer and wrong answers. So for example, on SAT, a question might look like this. And A might be correct, and B, C, and D would just be wrong. Unfortunately, AAMC doesn't want this to happen, because if they just had a whole bunch of correct answers, students would just get them correct, because at the end of the day, they're trying to test you for placement into medical school, and to show that they are a competitive test-based company, they have to make the questions harder. Well, how do they make them harder? They go from first order reasoning to second and third order reasoning. We won't get into the details on what that means, but basically, instead of finding the correct answer in these situations, you are now forced to use higher order thinking skills to find what they consider to be the best answer. And you'll notice that in a lot of CARS question stems, they'll find which of these most or least or best. They'll use words that invoke the need to create a comparison among answer choices instead of finding the one correct answer among a field of incorrect answers. So a typical CARS question, on the other hand, can be set up in this fashion. If we take a look at how this question is built, it's mind-bogglingly odd. All the answer choices are in some way garbage. They're wrong in some sense. They don't feel correct to the average test taker or even high-spec test takers. But when we look at them, we have wrong, less wrong, really wrong, and criminally wrong. And if you really think about it, and you change your perspective in CARS from trying to find that one correct answer to a frame of mind and perspective where you're thinking, which of these is the least wrong or least garbage answer, CARS can sometimes become a lot easier for a lot of students. Because remember, if this is negative 40, and this is negative 30, and this is negative 20, and this is negative 10, and the question asked you which of these is the highest number, even though A isn't really a great number, it's negative, compared to B, C, and D, it's actually the highest number in the series. And this type of CARS thinking is just so backwards and very unintuitive for a lot of students, but this is what AAMC basically wants you to do. And this is how they increase the difficulty of the CARS exam. By forcing you to use those higher order thinking skills, you're forced into situations where you're given a bunch of garbage answers and have to determine which is the best among the garbage answers, which for their purposes and test scoring purposes is the quote-unquote correct answer. It's correct, but we know that a lot of these CARS answers aren't great and they barely answer the question. So as a student, what can you do? We think at MCAT Savior the easiest way to protect yourself against just the sheer amount of garbage answers that you have to sort through is to have a very didactic, organized methodology for going through the questions and the answer choices in order to find the best fit. And that's a big focus of Module 2 of the CARS course, which goes into a ton of detail on how to determine the relative value of each answer choice as compared to other answer choices in the series. So if you're interested in that, check out our free lesson as part of our CARS Module 0 strategy set that covers our CARS question answering matrix and goes over it in detail. And we hope this helps and definitely gave you something to consider when you're thinking about how to approach CARS in a new way to help increase your score. All right, that was a complicated lesson. If you still need help, check out our full-length blog post that we linked in the video description, explore more of our YouTube channel, or just head on over to mcatsavior.com where you can get all of our strategy courses for free.